After Starship, which obviously was still very comedic, but also had a lot of really heart-wrenching moments, Star Kid veered back into full comedy for this musical, and I love them for it. This is a ridiculous musical. While there's obviously still some moments that are a tad more serious, this musical doesn't take itself too seriously. It took the cheese from the 60s Batman and applied it to Christian Bale's Batman, which is an odd combination, but it works beautifully, especially with Joe Walker playing the role. I love how much this musical focuses on friendship. It doesn't just show us how Batman deals with his loneliness, it also shows us Superman, who is very much a deuteragonist of this show. Both of these characters are lonely, and I love seeing the relationship between these two as they deal with that loneliness. Seeing them go from slightly antagonistic toward each other, to fall and fighting each other, to realizing that they're having the same problem, and that the easiest way to deal with that problem is to acknowledge that they're both really cool people and really cool superheroes, and just be friends. Another point in this musical's favor is the parody aspect. Back when I talked about a Harry Potter musical, I believe that I mentioned one of the things that made it a good parody is that I believe that it was enjoyable even if you didn't know the original source material. I freely admit that as someone who obviously was a fan of the books growing up, that was harder for me to judge because I didn't know how well it did in that aspect. However, as someone who has very minimal knowledge of the DC universe, I can confirm that this musical does a very good job in that aspect. I thoroughly enjoyed this musical, even though my only DC or Batman-related things that I had seen at that point was The Dark Knight. Finally, let's talk about music. For the first time in Star Kid history at this point, the music in this musical was not written by Darren Criss, but instead by Star Kid newcomers Nick Gage and Scott Lamps. Mostly unrelated, but Nick Gage would actually return as an actor in Twisted and do a really good job in that as well. I love the music in this. It does have a slightly different feel to it, though I acknowledge that I'm not the best at coming up with a description as to how. Despite this, it does fit in really well to the overall Star Kid canon. I also have to talk about the ending of Dark Sad Lonely Night. I know that I already talked about it back when I talked about the song, but the fact that this moment exists in a musical with this level of goof is kind of miraculous. I mean, this song literally has the line, "Like my soul, the banana was bruised and black." It's a perfect parody of the broody nature of Batman, and then ends in one of the most powerful moments in the entirety of Star Kid. It's spectacular and wonderful. I really, really like this musical. It's certainly not the most serious of musicals, but it's a musical about friendship, which isn't always serious. It's nice to see the goofy side of things. This is where it starts getting harder to rank things, because, spoiler alert, I like pretty much every musical to come. I think that I would officially put this above a Harry Potter musical, but below Starship. But to me, the fact that that moment can... Oh, hello?
Hello. Sorry, it sounded like you were messing up anyway.
Accurate, I was.
You're get the food.
Could do it. That was Pip, everybody.
Whoever picked up me being mean.
Probably.
Yeah, I was waiting and I heard a stumble and a pause. And okay, my time. Alright, we're back to food.
Thank
I
you.
won't interrupt you again.